The heat dome is still not trying to build in, which means more chances for showers and thunderstorms across Texas. An uptick in Saturday's storm chances is starting to look likely. Let's talk about it in this Thursday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Hi there, I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. It's Thursday, the 10th of July, 2025. Yesterday ended up being a pretty active day across the state with numerous showers and thunderstorms impacting several metropolitan regions and somewhat rural areas as well. Clearly, that was a little overboard from what we expected in the Tuesday forecast of the Texas Weather Roundup, but it's just how this summer seems to be going. So we did have localized areas of flash flooding. Luckily, as far as I am aware, which admittedly it could easily be wrong, we did not have any new high-impact flooding issues develop yesterday. But clearly, the wet string of summer days continues, and we are most definitely not emulating Summer of Hells 1, 2, and I can't remember if last year was number 2 or number 3, but so far we're not emulating that in terms of 110-degree days for 2 months on end with not a drop of rain in sight. Unfortunately, at this point, I think the old metaphoric phrase, all droughts end in flood, unfortunately has come to a very unpleasant realization. So let's talk about it. Here is the high-res rapid refresh model for the next several days. Today, this is showing a pretty dry air mass, or at least a less active air mass across much of the state except the Panhandle in West Texas and southeast Texas near the Gulf Coast. Southeastern Texas, isolated to scattered pop-up thunderstorms. They pop up real quick, shoot out lightning, produce about an hour's worth of heavy rain, then they, dissipate very quickly while producing gusty winds. We'll see how far west and north that activity makes it this afternoon. It may make it to the Brazos Valley, parts of East Texas. If this model is right, which admittedly is a big if, the Hill Country, Central Texas would remain dry today. We'll see. Panhandle, West Texas, monsoonal flow, monsoonal pattern. Late afternoon and evening thunderstorm chances once again with the potential for some gusty winds, locally heavy rainfall, maybe a wee bit of hail. We may have fog and low-level stratus tomorrow morning in the Hill Country in Central Texas as soil moistures are record high for July because of all the rain last week. So that allows for, 1, slightly cooler afternoon temperatures compared to surrounding areas, and 2, at night we're able to hit 100% humidity very easily, and that results in fog and low-level clouds. Friday afternoon, we expect the potential for isolated pop-up storms. Central Texas, Brazos Valley, East Texas, Southeast Texas. At this point, under a 1 in 3 chance, you're going to have a storm impact you. Lightning, heavy rain, gusty winds. When thunder roars, go indoors. And yes, any storms will be capable of producing 2 to 3 inches of rain in a quick period of time. Panhandle, West Texas. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, we expect scattered to numerous thunderstorms, not only in those regions, but down to the borderland, the Big Bend, the Trans-Pecos. That is going to be thanks to a unseasonably far south upper-level storm system. We're not usually getting storm systems this late in this year, but, well, it is what it is. Or at least this late in the summer, I should say. But that is going to allow an area of lift across eastern New Mexico, the Permian Basin, West Texas Panhandle tomorrow afternoon, especially tomorrow night to Saturday morning. As that occurs, scattered to numerous showers and storms, some of which could produce hail, gusty winds, heavy rain with a threat of localized flooding, and dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning. I think that's where I was going. I'll admit I lost my train of thought there, but clearly I'm not usually talking about this nonsense in mid-July, unfortunately. As we continue into the upcoming week, the upper-level pattern from the European weather model is indicating that the heat dome located over the southwestern United States, California, will tend to weaken, and it's going to try its hardest to build in farther east over at least the eastern parts of Texas going into next week. But I'll be honest, I'm not going to blow bubbles up wherever. We're probably not gain a great look at the long range at this point in terms of exactly where that heat dome's going to build in. I mean, we hope it builds in over Texas at this point, but to be perfectly honest, we just don't know yet. And many of you are probably asking, well, Mr. Baldy Man, why do we want a heat dome over Texas? Well, because even though it brings hot temperatures, it also brings subsidence, sinking air, which shuts off rain chances. And at this point, we kind of need that. We do. So we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, we actually have a pretty strong dip in the jet stream coming on in tomorrow night, which is going to allow a cold front to make its way into the Panhandle, West Texas, and Oklahoma before stalling out tomorrow night. Yeah, it's not particularly usual here in mid-July, getting a cold front that far south, but again, it is what it is. So that's going to be a focal point for new thunderstorms going into Saturday and Sunday, with a secondary upper-level storm system going to quickly move across the region, and that could bring some flooding threat back to northern parts of the state. All right, so as we get into next week, we'll see. Some models do indicate a little bit of a heat dome that tries to build into the eastern parts of Texas, getting towards the second half of next week. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. We'll see. That's the best I can say. We'll see. Otherwise, even with that, rain chances are likely to continue across the western third of Texas next week. All right, showing you a different, longer range weather model than what we typically show here. I know it's not the fancy graphics I usually show you, but this is the European long-range weather model. And we're going to use this because this seems to have a better idea of what has been happening and what is going to happen. I think the long-range American weather model global forecast system is too dry. And clearly, that's not a particularly realistic solution at this point. So, the valid times, what you see there, that's Zulu time. I'll go ahead and translate. 0 Zulu is 7 p.m. Central, 6 Zulu is 1 a.m. Central, 12 Zulu is 7 a.m. Central, and 18 Zulu, or Z, is 1 p.m. Central. As you can see, guess what? We have a scattering of rain chances continuing daily during the afternoon and evening hours across the western half of Texas next week. Saturday and Sunday, we have the possibility of a southeastward moving complex of storms, especially Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, into Sunday. That would originate in eastern New Mexico. The Panhandle, West Texas, would move southeast, if this is right, across parts of northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Permian Basin, possibly encroaching on portions of North Texas, Central Texas, and the Hill Country. Now, I want to be perfectly clear when I say we still don't know exactly what's going to happen with this. And clearly, the farther south that complex of storm moves, the more problems we're going to have in terms of saturated soils and flood risk. Nevertheless, we do have the potential for a few severe storms and an uptick in heavy rain potential Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning. Panhandle, West Texas, Permian Basin, Northwest Texas, Big Country. Maybe the Concho Valley, maybe the Hill Country, parts of it at least, maybe parts of North and Central Texas. We will fine-tune that as we get closer, and that is the best I can do right now. We'll fine-tune it as we get closer, but we're paying attention. Clearly, since soils are wet and can't take too much water in some locations. Nevertheless, coupled to a few inches of rain are looking likely in those regions I just mentioned, with locally higher amounts possible. Now, let me be clear. That doesn't mean I'm talking about 15 inches of rain in parts of Texas again. Not looking at that right now, but some heavy rain is certainly possible. We're going to watch. Well, but I'm also quite aware that most folks hear the word heavy rain or localized flooding, and at this point, all the visuals go back to what has happened the last week. Look, we're going to keep things in perspective here. We're watching it. But it doesn't look like a generational event right now, okay? That's all I'm going to say. In terms of rain chances after Sunday, well, western third of the state remains in monsoonal flow, which means daily pop-up shower and thunderstorm chances, and depending on the strength of the heat dome in the eastern part of the state, If it's weaker than expected, pop-up daily thunderstorm chances will continue there as well, as we will likely see on Saturday. I know I talked about the complex of storms Saturday into Saturday night, but guess what? This model actually has storms Saturday afternoon, just the pop-up variety, across the eastern half of the state too, including the hill country, central Texas. So that's what we're going to be watching for. Now, forecast rain totals. These are regionalized, it's smoothed out, don't nitpick the exact numbers. This is mainly just to show you where the highest rain chances are over the next 5 days. As you can see, Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, the Big Country, Texoma, North Texas, the potential for 1 to 3 inches of rain. Some folks will get nothing, some folks could get 5 inches of rain. The southern periphery of that is something we're going to watch carefully, since that is edging towards the hill country in central Texas, where we still have major flood impacts ongoing from the last week, and soils are saturated. If we can keep things where they are on this map, yeah, we're going to have a flooding threat, but, it's in areas that have a little bit of wiggle room compared to the hill country in central Texas, where 5 drops of rain is going to, cause another round of flooding. Big Bend, Borderland, Trans-Pecos also looking at rain chances. The lowest relative chance right now over the next 5 days, the Rio Grande Valley, the lower Texas Gulf Coast, into the Rio Grande Plains. And yes, pop-up showers and storms across the eastern half of Texas through at least Saturday and Sunday. Keep in mind, this shows widespread 1/10 to 1/4 inch or 1/4 inch rain totals across East Texas, Southeast Texas. Remember when I said regionalized and smoothed out? Most of y'all may not see a thing, while your neighbor half a block down could see 2 inches of rain in 5 minutes. Not really 5 minutes, but, 2 inches of rain in an hour. That's just the pop-up shower and storm variety. All right, here's temperatures over the next 5 days. It's hot today in the Panhandle, Northwest Texas, out into the borderland of far west Texas, triple digits. We're looking at mostly upper 80s and 90s across the state of Texas. Very high humidity in the hill country, central Texas will make heat index values near 100. Same thing goes near the Gulf Coast. Going into tomorrow, 104 in El Paso, 102 in Pecos. We're looking at upper 80s and 90s across the state. Going into Saturday, you can see that cool front moving into the Panhandle with high temperatures in the low 80s with rain. That's nice for mid-July. West Texas, 80s. Everyone else, we're in the upper 80s, 90s with triple digits in the Rio Grande Plains, Big Bend, Trans-Pecos, and the Borderland. Sunday, temperatures cool off in the Davis-Guadalupe Mountains, West Texas. Panhandle, highs in the low to mid-80s with cloud cover and rain chances. 94 in El Paso, which is still a pretty good drop compared to 103. Still, 80s, 90s, triple digits, eastern half of the state. And then here's Monday. You can see the hottest weather expected. Eastern third of Texas down to South Texas, the Rio Grande Plains with mid to upper 90s, low triple digits. Western half of the state, still mostly highs in the 80s to around 90 degrees. Here's the Long Range Climate Prediction Center outlook for temperatures, and you can see this is pretty anomalous for July over the last several years. Below average high temperatures possible across the northwestern half of Texas and the plains, as the heat dome across the west coast breaks down and tends to build back across the eastern seaboard of the United States. At least that's how it's looking now, kind of leaving us in a split of seasons. We may see that hot weather eastern half of the state, and then we may see below average temperatures with rain chances continuing western half of the state. This is July 15th through 19th. And then here's the precipitation outlook, and above average precipitation chances across a decent chunk of Texas, with the highest chance, monsoon-like, across Panhandle, West Texas, Permian Basin, and Borderland. So, we're not doing the whole shut down the rain chances and 110 degrees every day everywhere in Texas thing yet. But again, in terms of scattered thunderstorms the next days, today maybe a little less active, except the Panhandle, West Texas, maybe Southeast Texas, the Gulf Coast, becoming more active with scattered pop-up showers and storms tomorrow and especially Saturday across nearly all of Texas. And then we may have a cluster of storms Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening into Sunday morning from the Panhandle of West Texas, Permian Basin, moving towards Northwest Texas, the Big Country, Texoma, North Texas, but we're going to have to watch data closely in case that turns a little further southeast, and we have to introduce higher rain chances and higher rain totals into the hill country and central Texas as well. As always, you can get your local weather forecast no matter where you are in the United States and even internationally at some places with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. You can also track it with our interactive weather radars in the app and more. All right, we'll keep an eye on things. Otherwise, we'll be back bright and early Friday with your next edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Y'all have a good day, and God bless.